Well, greetings to each of you, and welcome to the Shakedown, a podcast about corrections for corrections and by corrections. I'm your host, Aaron Dawson. Good to be with you yet again. If this is your first time ever with us, welcome to the Shakedown. I hope that you go back on the shakedown.org or YouTube and then search the Shakedown podcast. Check out the previous episodes. I hope you will find them very informative, encouraging, motivating. Find some tools that you can use. If you are regular to the Shakedown, well, welcome back. Looking forward to being with you yet again. Before we get into our topic of today, I want to make mention of a new training program that NIJO is releasing, and that is Conflict Management Techniques. This course was written by Dr. Steve Sampson. If you've ever been a part of a jail con or the elite academies, you are familiar with Dr. Sampson. He's a fantastic individual, the type of person that you will never forget interacting with. But he also happens to be a clinical psychologist out of the state of Georgia who has had 40 plus years of involving himself with people in the law enforcement realm from a training and an assistance perspective. He's done numerous trainings on social skills and how to understand them, how to apply them and put them into practice. Great trainings. And he has written this course called Conflict Management Techniques. As someone who has written, has taught, has participated in numerous trainings on de-escalation, crisis intervention, I will tell you, after reviewing and participating in this course, this is an awesome and a comprehensive course. It's applicable to any public safety agency, not just corrections, but also your enforcement, your patrol, your investigations. Anybody would definitely benefit from the things that are in this course. And it will definitely make an impact in your agency. You'll see the results in your agency. Remember last season, episodes 17 through 20, I believe, I interviewed Dr. Sampson and we talked about the Conflict Management Techniques course in a little more detail. So if you're interested in finding out some more of those, you can go to the shakedown.org and check out episodes 17 through 20 to get some more specific details if you're not familiar with it. Or if you'd like some information about how to participate in or host a training at your agency, you can email training@jailtraining.org. That is training@jailtraining.org, and get some information on either participating in or hosting a conflict management techniques course. I will tell you, it will not be a waste of time, nor will be a waste of finances. Actually, I almost guarantee you will see some benefit in your agency. So check that out. All right, now back to our topic of the day, continuing in our theme on proactively finding the positive in our profession. As we've said, it is so easy and natural in some cases to focus on and find the negative. There's piles of it all around us. And if we're not careful, that negativity will jade and cause us to become very cynical, which can lead to bitterness, which can lead to depression, which can lead down a whole rabbit hole that we don't want to go down when we don't have to. We can focus on and be diligent about seeking out positive things to be an encouragement to us. And I hope the first two interviews in this series have been that you've enjoyed. I enjoyed the conversation with Grand County and featuring the program they had there. And then last week, the Neighborhood Christian Center in Decatur, Alabama, and focusing on what it is they offer and what their involvement is there in Morgan County in North Alabama. But today, I want to have a conversation with some folks from Las Vegas in Nevada, and a program that they have called I Am Possible. This program, it's a 30-day rehabilitation program, and it's focusing on those people that are they're repeat offenders. They're in, they're out, they're in, they're out, they're in, they're out. And the result or the reason for that is substance abuse. And so this 30-day program is designed to help them develop some skills to get out of this endless cycle. They established it in 2021, and Up until now, they've had 7 classes graduate. And the involvement in that program, it can either be voluntary, the inmate can volunteer to participate, or the court can order them to participate in it as well. But they set as their goal, when they started this, they set as their goal to reduce the recidivism rate in their area by 50%. And guys, I want to tell you something. That is a huge number. And so I'm looking forward to talking to them, getting some more details about their program, and just seeing how are they doing, where are things going at, what are the results that they're seeing in this program. So without further ado, let's get to the interview.
Okay.
All right. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Shakedown. As I said earlier, glad to have Miss Jurea Williams from North Las Vegas on with us today to talk about the I Am Possible program that they have there. So, Miss Williams, good to have you on with us. Welcome to the Shakedown.
Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate the invitation.
So, to get this ball rolling, why don't you kind of tell us what is the I Am Possible program?
The I Am Possible program is a residential substance abuse treatment program. It's designed to help our offenders who are currently incarcerated for at least 45 days to be able to address their substance use disorder. And if they're already in recovery or starting recovery, sometimes those offenses that they've had to take care of is coming to light, and they end up, in our facility on bench warrants. And they're like, well, I was already starting my recovery, so let's go ahead and help you keep facilitating that.
Yeah. And so this is primarily ones you're offering, if I'm understanding what you're saying. These are folks, they're already in your facilities. They're there, and you're seeing these guys over and over and over again. Now, is the underlying premise primarily substance abuse? Is that kind of what you're focusing on primarily?
Yes.
Okay.
And we're grant funded, and the grant is for substance use. So, but along with substance use, you have those co-occurring mental health disorders.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Well, I know in the agency that I worked in recently, even if they weren't incarcerated due to narcotics or substance abuse, I'd say a good guesstimate would be 80% of our inmate population. They were there because of substance abuse, whether it was theft, whether it was assault, whatever it was.
Absolutely.
That was the underlying cause. So
yes, we're doing the same thing.
So what was it that kind of prompted this program getting started? I mean, was this an idea that came from one person, a group of people, or how did this all unfold?
Well, we started, if I can kind of go backwards a little bit, my position here with the city in the correctional center is new. The correctional center was opened some years before, and we reopened in 2020 with the mission of rehabilitation. And that's where my position comes in, to bring in programs of that nature. So when I come on, I'm connecting with community partners, working with our offenders, seeing if we can help them with services. But when they're here for, say, those even short as 15 days, because our average stay is between 5 and 7 days because we're just a municipal jail.
Sure.
But we do have some that stay 30, 45, 60 days. And we noticed that their bodies would get clean and their plan would change.
Right.
They're like, oh, well, Miss Williams, I'm good. I'm gonna go do this and I'm gonna do that. And I'm like, okay. And I was hopeful at first. And then I started seeing them come back. And I'm like, okay, how did that plan work for you?
Right.
And let's help you with this. And the same thing, they would come in, they were at the end of their rope. And then next thing you know, they're like, yes, Miss Williams, I'll do whatever you tell me I need to do. So I work with our community partners. We get them the services connected the day they're ready to release, or even the couple of days before. They're like, you know what, Miss Williams, I'm gonna make it on my own, but I got some stuff I got to take care of first. So we sat down as a team, me and my previous director, and was like, what do we do in the meantime? And the state contacted us and said, hey, we hear what you guys are doing with regards to rehabilitation with your facility. We have some grant money. We would like to see if you could do something with it. And that's where this was grown into, because we were like, maybe this is that solution to fill that gap while they're here.
Yes.
Change that mindset while they're here. So we decided, we determined that their bodies were getting clean, but their minds were still addicted.
Right.
You know, sober mind was not happening. Sober body, yes, but not in mind. So this program came about, and and since the inception of it, I can honestly tell you that, you know, the underlying thing with substance use, somebody asked me this question, isn't substance use the problem? And I'm like, no, it's the solution to their problems.
Right.
So
yes.
Now, and like you said earlier, when we were talking, you said you notice that when you're in some of the crimes that are committed are not necessarily drug crimes.
Right.
You know, it's that petty theft, domestic battery,
yes.
Trespassing, those types of crimes, breaking and entering. It's those types of crimes that have that underlying substance use that hasn't been identified or even dealt with, to be honest with you.
Sure.
So with our program, we have the opportunity, we work with a substance use counselor who was contracted with an organization here in Las Vegas that has been amazing. You know, our partner, WestCare, they're all over the country, but they're amazing. And we contract with them, and we have a substance abuse counselor. I work actively in the program as well. And it takes a whole effort, though. The facility as a whole has to play a part in order for this to be successful. So I know I kind of went long-winded a little bit.
No, that's exactly what we're looking for.
Okay.
Which the whole focus of this series we're doing on the podcast is, it's so easy in this environment, this career field, to get jaded with all the negativity that piles on you, especially if you have a heart and you care, and these people come in and you invest in them and you encourage them and counsel them, and they give you that, oh yeah, I'm my head's on straight, I got it, I'm good. And then 3 days later, they come back to the booking room door, their pupils are this big around, they're out of their mind again, and you think, why bother? And it's programs like this that remind us that, you know what, there are some things to be positive about if you just look for them, if you go find them. I mean, the negative will always slap you in the face, but the positive, going and finding that. So in light of that, in your interactions with the people there in North Las Vegas, specifically the police department, the jail, are they seeing results? I mean, I know the individuals participate in the class, I'm sure they're seeing it, but the agency itself, are they seeing what the benefit of this program is?
I believe they are, because if I could be transparent, law enforcement is moving from a, lock them up, throw away the key mentality to rehabilitation.
Yes.
And it's a progressive movement.
Yes.
So not everybody is there yet.
Right.
But with the way that we are doing this program, even our officers, and I'm gonna be honest, some of them come from prison. I used to be a corrections officer at the prison. Okay. So I know what we've seen at the prison, and it can jade you. Sure. You see the worst of the worst.
Yes.
And you start to see that in everybody. When they come through those doors, doesn't matter what they did, they're the worst of the worst.
Right.
But once you see it through a trauma-informed approach, and that's what we do, then you start to understand, you know what? There's a reason why they're doing what they're doing. And that's basically the question that we're answering. Why do you do what you do?
Yes.
And when we first started the program, we had 2 program officers. And because this was new, nobody knew what this was going to look like. Right. They were just random shifted, right? And and one of the officers was brand new to corrections. So he was a little softer, right? You hear these stories and he's like, okay. And then we have another one who came from the prison and he was more in military. So I got him because I'm military too. So I was like, okay, but we have to understand this is a program. So it's about, and I often joked with them and I was like, the one that came in soft, he got a little harder. And the one that came in hard got a little softer. So it started balancing out.
Yes.
And with the one that came in a little harder, he was like, he understood. He was able to relate to them because a lot of corrections officers have that background too. They just made different decisions.
Right.
Or they didn't get caught. And that's one of the things we talk about too. Just because you did not get caught didn't mean you didn't break the law at some point. And that's where it started. They started to see the change. They started to see the change where it's, they started to see the change where things happen down in the facility once the program is over for the day. And they started noticing the offenders' reactions were different. They're no longer being as combative. They're no longer responding the way that they used to respond.
Yes.
And they're like, okay, so things are changing, you know.
Right.
And that's where we've seen the most change. And then also allowing different officers to work in the program, they're starting to see the offenders differently as well.
Yes.
They're seeing them, they're humans. They just made a mistake.
Right.
And unfortunately, that mistake landed them here. And that's the goal, you know, allow everybody to see each other in a human way, because this is a human experience overall. On one side, they're doing their job. On the other side, they need the help. And unfortunately, this is where they had to come to get it.
So with the program rolling, are you seeing, I know I asked about the staff, but as far as the participants, the inmates, are you seeing some results in their lives? I know you said in the facility, you know, their attitudes, their mindsets, their interactions with the people changed. But have you had some folks that they hadn't come back?
Yes.
That is awesome.
Yes. Yeah. There's one in particular, and I know we were going to do this toward the end, but I think it fits right here, because in our very first class, this young man, I had worked with him. I helped start our first community court here in North Las Vegas. And he was a part of that community court. And he kept coming back. Even though we would find him resources, he would keep coming back. He would come in or we couldn't find him. He decided to leave the program thinking that he's going to do this on his own. And the way the program was set up is, if you don't follow the guidelines of the case plan, then you're going to have a bench warrant out for your arrest because you're not doing what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And he would always end up back. He ended up back 3 times. And the last time is when this program started.
Okay.
So I talked to the judge and I was like, would you allow him to be a part of this program? And he was like, absolutely. So toward the latter part of the program, we would do something. We would have them do their ACE scores, their adverse childhood experience.
Okay.
You know, we had them do that. And we talked about some, you know, things from their past, you know, that trauma-informed care approach. And he identified some things about his father and why him and his brother were treated differently. And and I always invited, at that point, I would invite those that were going to be graduating who still had time on their sentence to come back and be a part of the next class.
Okay.
And the next morning I came in and I was like, so how is everybody doing? You know, getting a temperature check on everybody. And he's like, I don't want to be here. I just want to do my time and hurry up and get out of here so I can go do my drugs. And I was like, okay, what's going on? He was like, nothing. And this guy, I'm gonna be honest, he's like Jesus, everything. You know, I'm praying for God to help me. I'm doing this. And now all of a sudden he switched. So I said, what's going on? And he was like, nothing. I just want to be a porter so I can get some more days off my time. And then I'll just go back out there and do what I want to do. And I said, you know what's going on right now? You're hurting, because now we've uncovered this. I said, let's process this.
Yeah.
And because normally what you would do when you would start to hurt, you go use your drugs.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the medication right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a different medication.
Yeah.
And we're going to work with you and you're going to process this and we're going to see how you feel on Monday. Monday morning rolls around and he says, he has the biggest smile on his face. And he's like, Mrs. Williams, I said, how you doing? He said, I'm doing great. I didn't die. I was like, wow. He said, I thought I was going to die because it hurt that bad. And I was like, so how do you feel now? He said, I feel like I can go do anything. And at graduation, both of his parents were there.
That's awesome.
And they reunified. His dad was working to help him get a job. And I do check recidivism. I check their arrest records. And to be honest with you, that he graduated a little over a year ago and he has not been back.
Yeah.
He has not been back. So I'm like, that's good for us. And our homeless services team hasn't encountered him because he was chronically homeless also. Right. So I'm like, you know what? Something is working. Something is working. Yeah.
That is awesome. And, and it's something that often people don't think about when they think about, whether it's a municipal jail, a county jail, or even on a grander scale in the prisons, but the family members that you mentioned, that here they are, this is their son. They know he has issues. They know he has an addiction. They know, but what can they do? He's an adult. He decides, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to live on the streets. I'm going to take this substance, and they love him and they want to help him. But, there has to be a line. I can only help you so far. And that endless cycle in their world, of every morning waking up wondering, okay, is my son dead because he did something last night, or, and for them to be able to see him in that position maybe for the first time in a truly stable place to say, I'm done with that. I'm going this direction now. And for them to be able to be there to support him, that's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah. And that's part of it too. We have that family support. Every graduation, we allow the families to come in. I do have to background check. So, of course. But, of course. But those families that, and the majority of the time, the families are able to come in. And because we're so small of a facility, we don't really allow those in-person visits like that. So this is an opportunity for them to reconnect with their families. And, it is beautiful to see that, we hear so many families, especially the parents, coming in. And no matter how old the offender is, if the parents are there, they're always like, thank you so much. I know my son or daughter needed this. And, this is just amazing. I've noticed a change in them. And it's really rewarding.
Good. And so you started in 2021. So how many classes have you had go through?
We're on number 8 right now.
That is awesome. So how many people would you have go through in a given class? How many participants, I guess, would you have participate?
We can have up to 8.
Okay.
It's a comfortable number for us because it's just a small staff, and we have a staff to officer ratio as well. So we have to maintain it. So, we could do it about 10, but we like to keep it around 8. Sure. And our average class size is about 6.
Okay. So is that, and that's been about the size the whole time. So you've had nearly 50 people come through, it sounds like.
Almost. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is, and so those that have come through, I know I read in the information on your program that you set the goal at the beginning of this to reduce recidivism by 50%, which, like I said in our conversation earlier, if you've been in corrections for 12 seconds, that is a awesome goal to shoot out there. So as far as the people that you've had come through the program, how are you seeing that going in their lives? And you said the one, he hasn't been back. So, hey, that's a win. We'll take that as a victory.
Right.
But with the other folks, where are you seeing it?
One of the guys that was in that first class as well, he just came to our last graduation. So he was able to see the culmination of what he helped start, because every single class is allowed to contribute to the next one. We ask those offenders advice. I'm like, this is your program. Yeah. What that other person is going to need. So we do surveys and ask them, what advice can you give the next one? And we ask them also, what can you give us? What did we do right? What did we do wrong?
Sure.
How can we improve? So everything that we've done from day one to now is based on the offenders. And I sit down and I talk with the staff, our program officers, and I'm like, okay, what did you guys see? We don't take any criticism personally. It's all about building the program. Yeah, it's all about building the program.
Well, good. So, and it seems like, just based on what you're saying, that the folks that have participated in this are recognizing the benefit and the opportunity that they have to participate in this.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And we let them know too, you're going to get credit for it because it's a program. You're doing something positive.
Sure.
But we want you to also know that that's not the only reason you should be in this program. Just because you're going to get those days. Because we tackle some heavy issues in 30 days. The program is only 30 days.
Right.
So, and with the intention of you completing the process outside in the community with your aftercare plan. And we hit it head on the first week. So if you're not going to make it, we already know within the first week now who's going to make it and who isn't.
Sure.
And we know who's there for the right reasons and who's not.
Right.
And how we do that is that very first week we have, even before the class starts, I have a pre-orientation. I've already assessed everyone who is a candidate for the program, and I bring them in the week before the orientation is scheduled, and I let them know basically a Cliff Notes version of what the program looks like. And I give them the application packet, and I'm like, this is your opportunity to pray on it, do whatever you have to do, talk to your family about it, but really focus on if you want to do this or not, because this is going to be life-changing for you. And I warn them that if you're not ready for this process, it's going to be hard. So if you're just in it for the wrong reasons, we will pull all that out of you too. And so Monday morning, they come in, they do their orientation. And one of the first things I let them know is you have to make your bed every morning. Your room has to be clean, because if you can't do that, you won't be successful in this program.
That's right.
And I find it funny because I say, even one day missing you making your bed, you're going to be kicked out of the program. And I remember starting this, my director was like, that's a little harsh, isn't it? I was like, no, because that's a small task.
Yes.
If you can't do that one small task in the beginning, then you won't be able to do all this heavy lifting that we're going to require you to do.
Right.
And I have to be honest with you, I have now had to kick out one person because they didn't make their bed.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And then we built into it the exercise portion. So they all exercise every day. And at first, that first week, I'm telling you, they're walking around like, oh my God, I can't feel my legs. And oh my goodness, I can't lift my arms hurt. But by the end of it, our last class, on the second to last class that just graduated, one guy lost 30 pounds.
That's wild.
Yeah. And he was like, man, I feel so good. I'm going to continue this. Right. And they always, and none of them have really complained about it. They'll be like, oh, I'm sore, I'm hurting, but they look forward to it because they start to feel like they're normal again.
Sure.
And that's part of it as well. We want to help you free your mind. Just because you're in a negative situation doesn't mean that you can't see something positive come out of it.
Right.
So, yeah.
So what does it look like for them? Okay, they go through the program, they graduate while they're incarcerated. When they get out, what is it on the other side of it, if you will, that they can connect with on that side and continue?
Yeah. So we partner with WestCare. WestCare is our provider for our substance abuse counselor and the aftercare services.
Okay.
We, while they're here, we set them up with Medicaid if they're eligible.
Okay.
They have to be willing to apply for Medicaid if they don't already have it. And what we do is we develop a case plan for them. And for those, like right now, we have them sign a letter of commitment to continue their aftercare, because if they're just finishing their sentence, there's no probation or parole or anything, community supervision. It's
Right.
just more about saying, you know what, you have my word that I'm going to continue this program, because we let them know sobriety takes, active recovery. You're in it for at least 2 years before
Sure.
you really can say, on this track. So we let them know this is a basic introduction. So we connect them with West Care. Our substance abuse counselor does an assessment prior to them going into the program, and then after. And then we determine based on that assessment what level of care they're going to need. If they're going to need PHP, partial hospitalization, where they're in there
Sure.
all day, if they just need intensive outpatient, or if they need residential. Based on those recommendations, we start doing that process from the beginning. So we know when graduation is, and we know that what level of care they're going to eventually need. And now I'm also actively working with the courts here in North Las Vegas
Okay.
to help to see if we can do like they complete our program for those first 30 days. And then we go into a deferred adjudication on the rest of their sentence and allow them to complete their sentence in the aftercare portion of the program.
Okay.
We maintain that supervision for the court by providing updates and letting them know, what, this person has done this, this, and this, and they have status checks. And according to the law, we can actively check in on them with a certain amount of time, depending on the crime. So
Okay.
that is the whole purpose. That was the original intent. We just had to get there because it doesn't serve them, the offenders, well if they are graduating from the program and then they have to go sit in their cell for another 30 days or such.
Sure.
So yeah, we're working with the courts right now, and now they are, our last class, we had one person graduate. He was released the next day. He's doing MRT, which is moral recognition therapy. He's doing outpatient therapy. He's already started working again, got his job back, and he's been communicating with us on a weekly basis. So those kind of things. And there's a little carrot dangling over their head too, like, you know what, let's get this done. Let's do this. And I'm gonna be honest, yeah, before that, it has been challenging having them do their aftercare, because we are, and I say that we do this so well with them while they're here. They really feel like they're strong and can do this.
Sure.
But we have to encourage them to say, you know what, I know you put in a lot of work. You've done an amazing job, but you still need to continue on with this. We still need you to go to this aftercare, get the counseling so you can stay on track,
Yes.
So yeah, but we've seen some progression as we've moved on. Yeah, so it's actually been a nice progression toward the positive.
Awesome. And so what are the courts' reaction been to this program? Are they in love with it as everybody else?
Yeah. Yeah. After this interview, I'm going to court for someone else. So yeah. I know we're not going to be able to help everybody.
Sure.
But it's those ones that really want it, that they're tired. They're tired of living that life, and they want something different. And the way we approach our program is, if you don't want something different, trust me, you're not gonna do well. You're not gonna do well. And we let them know, we're like, look, we're showing up for you.
Yeah.
And it takes that person that genuinely cares and sees them as a human being in order for that to happen. You have to see them as a human being, because if you don't, and you see them just as a number, or what their crime is, or, oh, this is just another program we're going to do to satisfy, it won't work. I'm going to be honest. You have to be invested.
Well, awesome. Well, Ms. Williams, I truly, truly appreciate, well, first of all, what y'all are doing in North Las Vegas. That is awesome. And whether or not the folks in North Las Vegas recognize it or not, me all the way over here in Alabama, we're recognizing it. So I want to say, first of all, I appreciate what y'all are doing there, and congratulations on the success stories that you're seeing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then
Thank you.
on a more personal note, Very grateful for you being willing to come on and do the interview with us today and present highlight what y'all are doing. And my hope is that for those that are in the trenches that are being bogged down with the repeat, man, why bother? They can hear things like this and say, you know what? It is worthwhile. If I keep going, I keep caring, I keep investing, it is worthwhile.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, I'm seeing the culture shifting, the more officers are being a part of the program, the administration,
Sure.
Everybody is really like on board, trying to, make sure that, my hope is to make it on a broader scale.
Right.
And start making this like a standard and seeing how we can continue this to grow and progress and even other jurisdictions. So hopefully, and I'm open to talking with other people in other jurisdictions if they want to start something like this, because we're doing this very unconventionally.
Right. Yeah.
We do evidence-based programming, but we also do some unconventional stuff too. So.
Well, that's one benefit to blazing the trail is you don't have somebody standing there going, well, that's not the way we did it. So
right.
Well, good deal. Well, again, I greatly appreciate it. And guys, I hope this, has been an encouragement to you and that you take this information. Check it out. You can see their stuff online and see the news articles about it and the TV spots. And maybe get some ideas. Maybe you're the one that'll start something like this in your area. But as always, guys, stay sharp, stay safe, stay vigilant. Godspeed.